Hello, everyone. And welcome to today's Polkadot Open Call hosted by OneBlock Plus. And we are really excited to have Tommy, aka Alice and Bob, here with us. So Alice, Bob, just wave to us. And who is one of the most active minds in the ecosystem, known for his deep dives into the Polkadot economics and the governance. So for those who might be new here, I'm Dixon from OneBlock Plus team, a Polkadot community-driven initiative focused on bringing more developers into the Polkadot ecosystem. And we're running bootcamp courses, hackathons, and content program, to just help developers go from learning to actively building in the ecosystem. The theme for today is Polkadot evolution. We are going to cover token economics, governance, and the ecosystem catalyst. And so let's go to the main session. Welcome, Alice and Bob, to the session. And it's a real pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Dixon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, just for our community members in China, so could you briefly introduce yourself and what motivated you to dive into the Polkadot ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Polkadot in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And back then there was a bull market, the crypto bull market, and I was waking up way too late from the bear winter. So I was having FOMO and I was looking around all the opportunities in crypto. What should I look? What should I pick? And I scanned up and down all the options on CoinMarketCap, and none of the projects really convinced me. But then eventually Polkadot popped out to me, and it was really interesting to read about how it approaches scaling, how it approaches having parachains, and each parachain can solve its own problems. But at the base, there is the security and the interoperability. So this was what really excited me, this approach to go really good about separating concerns, providing the base, and then everyone can build on that base. And at the same time, also the Web3 spirit of like this true Web3 spirit where Gavin Wood coined the term, and we're building applications that give opportunities to people to have the applications that help them in the real life.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty great backgrounds. And it's such a coincidence. And you probably picked the most interesting and complicated ecosystem, on the market back to that time. Yeah, so that context sets the stage perfectly, just for us to talking about what's coming next with the Polkadot 2.0. So what's the big idea behind Polkadot 2.0, and what do you think how it will make the network, better for users and the developers who wants to onboard or deploy their apps on the Polkadot?
Yeah, sure. Polkadot 2.0 is all about scalability. It is all about giving parachains the option to scale from just a little bit of resource consumption to a lot of resource consumption. So Polkadot 1.0 gave us the solution of being able to build parachains, and every business can build its own parachain if it wants to build its use cases and so on. But it was a one-size-fits-all model. So every parachain has to rent exactly one core and has to work with that one core. And that is comparable to, say, you are a company and you're renting an office space, but every company has to rent the same office space. It does not make sense because some companies are very small, some companies are big. Sometimes if you're starting a company, you need to rent an office for maybe 2 days a week for half a day. And then other companies have a lot of employees and they need big buildings. So Polkadot 2.0 is all about scalability and giving chains the capacity to rent exactly the amount of security, of data, of processing time that they need. And there is a few technical parts to that, but basically it's all about giving parachains the choice to grow with their own success.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So I really love, this Polkadot's new vision, just for scalability and the flexibility, just for adoptions and make it much easier, for developers to get onto the ecosystem. And so while the tech side is evolving pretty quickly, just within this year, but token economics is also a hot topic, especially in the market right now. And we can switch gears to the economic models, shaping the Polkadot growth. So how should the community think about the recent supply caps or stepped inflation, just without harming the innovation?
Yeah, I would say, as with many crypto ecosystems, we are looking at the best practice models. The dot tokenomics are focused on providing core time and providing blockchains with the ability to run. So that's the basic value proposition. It's security and it's the ability to run blockchains. But then, of course, every ecosystem also has its own economy. Sometimes we like to compare ecosystems with states or with continents or with cities. So there is this comparison of, if there is an economy, you use the native currency of that economy as the unit of exchange, as the medium of exchange, unit of account. And so the question naturally comes up: how can you create an asset that is hard, that has value, that has a good value proposition? So there was naturally the discussion of introducing a supply cap. I think that makes it predictable for anyone who is doing an investigation into the token and asks a question: should they have the token? Should they hold the token? If you fix that variable about how many tokens there will ever be, it creates a limit and it creates an expectation that you can work against. So it makes it easier to calculate it makes it easier to estimate the value proposition by removing one kind of uncertainty. And then going into the future, I think we should also invest a lot of thinking into what creates demand for a token and how does our economy look like. And our economy is built of the parachains and the services that are building a Polkadot. And so we have to think about how can we make DOT an asset that is also convenient and valuable to them.
Cool. Yeah. I think one of my friend, I think it's Max, you probably know him. He also mentioned that he thinks the recent updates and also the jam hasn't, pressed into the Polkadot price yet. So I think we probably, should hope for that. And you also proposed economic growth incentives, abbreviated as EGI, and that could multiply parachains TVL. And so what do you think the key mechanism there?
Yeah, exactly. So this ties into the discussion of how do you make DOT a valuable asset. And when we think about our economy, and these are the parachains, then we have to ask the question: how do parachains develop demand for DOT? What gives them a reason to want to hold DOT? And my investigation has shown that about 0.7% of all DOT is captured by parachains to put to productive use that is not staking. 54% is staked and 45% is idle DOT. Yeah? And so we have to ask, how can we make it attractive for parachains to want to hold DOT and keep DOT and use DOT? And we see that there is a big imbalance. So if you are staking your DOT, you get 10 or a bit more % of yearly average reward. And on the other hand, if you put it to a parachain, the parachain cannot offer that. If a DeFi product, for example, wants to offer you 10% yield, they either have to do it by diluting their token, which is typically not sustainable, or having a very high risk product. But if you want to have, let's say, something of less risk, there is no realistic option to give you if it's not highly speculative. Typically, if you deploy capital into regular DeFi operations as liquidity, it will generate maybe 1% yield per year. So 1% versus 10% is an imbalance that you cannot really overcome. And so there is no reason to put DOT into the economy except for highly speculative reasons. And so my proposal is, how about we create the balance here? And the balance would be, let's take away some of the rewards that go into staking and give them as a reward to parachains. And we would look at all the parachains and how much DOT they're holding, and then allocate that reward pool equally to the parachains depending on how much DOT they have in proportion. So what it would create is that parachains suddenly have a reason to compete for that DOT pool. and they can innovate and think about how can they make an attractive offer to users so that the users will put the DOT in that parachain. So that creates competition, it creates innovation, it creates interesting products, and it creates a marketplace of good ideas and products. And I think it would just create a really interesting environment where parachains would come up with ideas. People have reasons to talk about the things, to compare the offers. And of course, it would also draw in DOT into the economy. And then when that DOT is in the economy, that can also come into productive use. Because as I said before, if 1% value generation is happening on the capital per year, let's say as a one marker, if there would be $1 billion of liquidity in the ecosystem, it would generate $10 million of value per year, right? And we can scale that to come up with other examples.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much a real game changer if executed well. And we hope that, that idea can come to life, sometime. And, from our community, we also hear people talking about some buzz about Euro stablecoin, or we can say each Euro on hydration. So how could this make DeFi easier, for European users? And I know you are based in Europe for most of your time. So what's your perspective on that?
Yeah. So I have to say the discussion on the Euro stablecoin by hydration, I think so far it is mostly a meme, but I'm putting in the effort to meme it into reality because there is a very serious debate behind it. So the serious debate behind it is that we all have our own currencies, and right now the dollar is the most dominant asset in crypto. So we have a lot of dollar-denominated stablecoins and much fewer stablecoins denominated in, for example, euro or assets from like any other country, right? So it makes sense if you, let's say you receive a payment and you would like to hold in your own currency to be able to do it on chain without switching back to a centralized exchange. And for that, we need stablecoins in different currencies. And so I and a few others have been pushing this idea of Hydration is right now launching a dollar-denominated stablecoin, and each stablecoin needs time to grow and find adoption. So the Holler stablecoin will take some time, but I'm thinking for the future, once that stablecoin has established itself, it would be interesting to have also a push for other stablecoins. So this is why we injected the Euro stablecoin into the discussion. Europe is a strong country, continent for in terms of how much general capitalization there is going into crypto. So I think that would be interesting to have. And then there is also, of course, the discussion about on-chain forex markets, so foreign exchange. And it's the most highly capitalist markets in the world are the currency exchange, forex markets, right? So I think there's also a lot of value proposition here just from growing those markets.
Yeah, I do agree with you with that. Yeah, I think right now so most of the stablecoin we use USDT, USDC is all like based on US dollar or backed by US bonds, And I think, every continent, if they do, like Hong Kong is doing quite well, doing legalization, and they're trying to make up, legalization for Hong Kong stablecoin. Yeah, so I think that can really connect well with the real world and the Web3 world. So having more people joining the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And so I think next we gonna zoom back into the community and also look ahead, for the future. So I know you have been in Polkadot, as you said in your introduction, into the Polkadot in 2021. So right now it's already 4 years, and that's quite a long time. And also, I just want to know from your point of view or your experience with other developers. So what are the most frustrating developer pain points in the Polkadots right now? And what do you think, how can we fix them?
Yeah. So myself, I've only been developing a bit in the last few years, but I've made some experiences, and I also try to understand what developers are concerned about. I think in general, crypto overall has not the best reputation when it comes to user experience and also developer experience. And I think that is also true for Polkadot. So historically, there has been a criticism that developer experience overall is not the best. That has to do with the available tooling. It has to do with the available documentation. And other things, infrastructure, how good and responsive is the infrastructure and how fast is it? And so this is one area where I know that Parity has been investing a lot of time and effort recently to improve the developer experience. There is Karim from Parity who has it as his personal goal that they catch up on the developer experience, and by the end of the year they have one of the best developer experiences in crypto overall. Yeah, and then I would say one general problem that we have in Polkadot is that there is a steep learning curve. There is a lot of concepts and a lot of, let's say, theory and technologies. And I think what we can do here is abstract it away so that most developers don't have to concern themselves with that. I think Polkadot Hub is a big improvement for that. Polkadot Hub will allow people to focus on smart contracts and RPCs, and that's it. And then there is also Polkadot Deploy coming, which allows you, if you want to get into Polkadot and try it out, like building a chain and try that out, but you don't want to make it overly complex or take too much time, Polkadot Deploy allows you to take a template and it's ready to go, and you just deploy it on chain and try it out. And it can be ready to go with smart contracts and maybe with DAO features. And so you can just try things out. So I think this is going to be very important.
Yeah, I do agree with you. You know, from the beginning, we were using the Polkadot JS, you know, to interact with the ecosystem. And then it comes out with the Sub-Zero sub-wallet, you know, just the on-chain wallet. And also right now we have the Polkadot app. Yeah, so I think they're trying to having more user-friendly products, you know, so letting people get hands-on more easily and more accessible.
Yeah.
And a lot of you know, our Chinese developers and also Chinese, you know, different communities. You know, you probably you are part of the Chaos DAO, right?
I have been in the past, not right now.
Okay, not right now. Yeah. But what do you think about, you know, right now we still going to the treasury, you know, for proposal or making proposal competition to get funding? And I talk about this with other developers or other influencers as well. And what do you think? Do we have to reform this proposal competition, or is there a better way, you know, to get funding or funding in different way?
Yeah. I think that's an excellent question. So what we have seen in OpenGov so far is that it is created as this idea of let token holders decide everything.
Yeah.
And this is the first step. But every political system, and many things are political, nation states are political, companies are political, and blockchains are political. It needs to develop a culture because it develops a society. So there's culture and society. And these things were originally not taken too much into consideration. What is the society going to be around the system? And what culture do we have? And culture is something that develops over a very long time. So we have to put in a conscious effort in developing our culture. Now, to answer your question, I think the best governance is a governance that is coherent, where everything works together and where there is an overall plan or direction. Now, in OpenGov, we started by everything is bottom up, everything is decentralized, and there is not really a plan. There is just individual proposals. What we are seeing over time is that in certain areas, we see proposals coming again and again. For example, events or meetups or
Meetups,
marketing or running servers. So what we have formed around those are, we used a mechanism that called a bounty, and it's used originally. The idea was something should be done and we allocate money there. But in reality, what we see right now is we have departments, and these departments use the bounty mechanism to get funded. So in reality, we see departments, and we see that there is actually something like a budget forming where we know, okay, every year the DAO spends about $2 million in operations for servers and infrastructure, and it spends, etc., for outreach and for development and so on. So we see that there is more structure and coherence emerging out of the whole thing. I think the step that we really need to go is that we need to come to better agreements about what is the direction that Polkadot should go, or the DAO should go, and what are the priorities of the DAO. Two things that I see is, or three things. First of all, there is like basic infrastructure that needs to get funded. I think that is not really debatable. The DAO should pay for its own expenses. I think that's the grown-up thing to do, right? And the interesting thing is the DAO is grown up enough to pay for its own expenses. Then I think there should be a service layer. So what we see right now is the bounties are providing marketing, events, legal support, user experience support, running servers, etc., etc. So there is like this service layer where if you are a team that is building a Polkadot, you can tap into these services. They are like public services that similar to what a state is providing in terms of services. And then maybe a third layer could be venturing out and doing business development or ecosystem development and tapping into certain verticals where it would be interesting to put the network forward and develop it. And I think there is really this layering of the first priority is operations, the second priority is service, and the third priority is ecosystem development, right? And so we should go really by going layer by layer and see, do we have everything covered? And so far, I think the service layer is coming along, and the DAO does not really have clarity on what it wants to do in terms of business development.
Right.
So this is what we're still figuring out as a DAO.
So there's missing some structured or more coherent planning, so everything will branch out from this coherency. Just like building a pyramid, we need to have a good foundation at the bottom, and then we can starting building higher and higher and having more stuff coming out.
We go step by step and we try something out, or we have a few experiments, and then we learn a lot, and then we know how to consolidate the structure.
Cool. And I think my last question, just from the main part, will be looking to the future, let's say next year, 2026. So what are the top 2 to 3 catalysts for Polkadot, to outcome or outcompete other ecosystem, like the recently the price fearing Ethereum, or the, for the beginning of the year, the Solana, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a few of those catalysts that we often talk about. For example, there is the ETFs coming up. There is Polkadot Pay, Polkadot 2.0. We have the tokenomics changes, and then also the hub launch. I want to give a little bit of a perspective of what common perspective we can apply to those. So I think everyone agrees that Polkadot has great technology.
Definitely. Definitely.
Let's say world-class technology in many aspects. And what we have been historically not good at is bringing it to the masses. And this had an impact on the reputation, where people are like skeptical about Polkadot, or say, can it find adoption in big institutions and so on. So I think the point where we have to come from is we say, okay, we have great technology. How do we create momentum so that people start talking about it, and we create this effect where more and more people start to see how beneficial it is. So the way how I see this playing out is we have to get it into as many hands as possible of developers for them to try out and have a really good developer experience. The developer experience is key, because if I try something out, I go to the website or I see a video and I look and I try, I should try this out. And then I try it out. And if immediately I have this wow effect and it captures me or it excites me to try it out, then I'm hooked for it for 2 weeks and I work on it on the side. And every time, like every moment that I don't need to work, I can focus on trying these things out. So I think we should really go for that great developer experience and getting hooked on people on those experience. One really good benefit we have in our ecosystem is that we have an interesting culture of like people that are really keen on Web3.
Yeah.
So there is still this benefit that Gavin Wood coined the term Web3, and people come to Polkadot because they're excited about Web3.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're organizing right now is the Polkadot Builder Party. The Polkadot Builder Party has this idea of having a global hackathon, 6 weeks, where we invite developers and also fresh developers. So not even just developers from Web3, of course, also the Web3 developers, but also developers from Web2 that are used to building on cloud. And they have never looked into Web3 building, or they have looked into it, but the developer experience was not right, or the infrastructure was not working. And we give them everything that we have right now, every parachain under this framing of the Web3 cloud, the Polkadot cloud. And we tell them each parachain is an SDK. So there is a service. Each parachain is a service. So in the beginning, we don't even overload them with language. We just tell them there is an SDK for robotics and for knowledge and for supply chain and for payments and for gaming, etc. And you can take those SDKs and you can take those features and add them to your stack. And they make your application more resilient, or it's a backend storage that cannot be like censored, or it is unstoppable, or that adds privacy. And the idea here really is make it a community event, make it a stress test, and see can we really deliver on a good user experience, developer experience. And maybe it's not working out ideally, then we can fix it. And there will be things that are really great for people and that excite them. Yeah. So I think we need this moment where we stress test everything and get the community together and get the builders together, and they have some exciting time. And then they can start talking about it. And they tell their friends, I tried this out and it was really interesting. You should try it out too. So I think this is the wave that we want to create right now. And then when the altcoin season comes and we have all those other things lined up, like the ETFs, Polkadot Pay, Polkadot 2.0, and more on the let's say business or the institutional side, there's also a lot of things that will be coming up for Hub. And so we're building this grassroots movement right now, so that when we go into Hub, we can really like get everything together and start this movement of trying out new things and building out applications and refiring the spirit that has been lost in a lot of other ecosystems in crypto.
Yeah, and definitely Polkadot also have one of the most loyal, users and developers I have ever experienced. People, in Ethereum or in Solana, they also in other ecosystem, but there's a lot of overlapping in terms of the developer coding. But in Polkadot, it's pretty obvious. Like people stick into the ecosystem and they stay in the ecosystem. Yeah. Being quite loyal, and I think that's a quite insightful idea, just for expanding the Polkadot influence in the future. So I think that's wrap up our main questions, and our staff just sent me the comments. So people from our community having questions put into the comments, and I will just pick some of them. So there's a one from called 712, and I think she asked, let me see, she asked, looking ahead to 2026, what specific product or application use cases will showcase Polkadot core competitive advantages?
I think Hyperbridge comes to my mind. Hyperbridge is all about interoperability, and in 2015-16, when Polkadot was formulated, it was the acceptance there is a multi-chain future, and we need interoperability at the heart of it.
Yeah.
And we see that many big corporations are coming out with their own layer ones: Google, Stripe, Circle.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Ethereum world is in shock right now. How can you not build a layer 2? How can you build a layer 1, right? But it's natural that corporations, they will just do what helps them the best, and they don't need to conform to a certain ideology. So I think, especially in a world that where we see more and more chains and products, interoperability will be key, right? And so I think Hyperbridge will take a very important role here, because it allows us to connect chains anywhere, and it does it in a very cost-efficient manner. And I like to compare Polkadot to Singapore or Hong Kong, in the way that you see these harbor cities that are growing very fast because they are the easiest for doing business and just passing through. And I think similarly, when we create the least friction for capital to pass through and for messages to pass through in crypto, and then we can attach a lot of services to that, I think this is where a lot of value is being generated. And this is where a lot of growth can happen.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's another one from my Web3 at Superg. Apart from Euro market, do you have any business plan to explore Asia market? And also, would you share what is your expectation of the Asian market development?
Yeah. So last time was the first time where I was in Asia. I was in Bangkok and I was in Singapore. And this year I was also in Hong Kong. And it is really exciting for me to talk with the people in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and Bangkok, especially Hong Kong, because I see that there is a lot of serious interest in terms of industrial production, and not just thinking about Web3 and crypto as financial products, but also how to use it in industrial production. So, for example, how can you use it in a supply chain process? How can you verify that products are original that you use in your supply chain? Of course, there is a lot of like institutional stablecoin sandbox interest. We have Polkadot East, Polkadot East, which are situated in Hong Kong, and they are our business development arm for Polkadot in East Asia. They do a lot of work. They are working also with Serotonin, which is our marketing agency. I think based in Hong Kong. I'm not sure. And so I think there is a lot of interest in industry, and there is also an interest in stable coins. And those are the things that I am hearing about that are the most exciting. And then, of course, there is also a great developer community. So there is a reason why Gavin Wood decided to make his Jam tour in the region, because it's just, there is like a lot of developers that really care about Web3 and that want to use that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gavin was doing his tour from Beijing to Shanghai to Shenzhen, and to I think there's a stop in Hong Kong and Taipei, Tokyo. Yeah, there are quite a lot of good developers. And great skills over there. Probably more affordable labor, stuff like that. And so thank you very much, Isabel, for such a thoughtful discussion with OneBlock Plus, and also to our community. And thank you everyone, who are in this session and enjoying all these great discussions and and open answers. And this is what exactly we are trying to create, just bridging the builders, communities, and also investors, just to grow the Polkadot further in the future. So until next time, we will keep building the future of Web3 and Polkadot. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. And also, I just want to have a preview. So a quick heads up to our Polkadot developer course recruitment in the process. So this round, we will be doing the native Solidity development on Polkadot. And we will have 6 structures modules to master Polkadot development. So we will drop the sign up link in the comments, and all the users, developer, please stay tuned. Yeah, so thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. You probably have a good lunch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good. Okay, see you.